Well, would you look at that? You survived the weekend, so today is already a win. We got a holiday coming up this week, which, by the way, means this is kind of a weird week. There's going to be a lot of people not in the office. Big reason for that is, I don't know when they come out with the travel numbers expected for 4th of July, but it's going to be massive. Part of that is, hey, gas prices are low. You don't say. All right, we'll talk about that as well as some other stuff, including, very sneakily, a very big hint, tease dropped by President Trump in his interview with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. He always gives her the best stuff because he loves her. So you get the best Trump tidbits that came out of nowhere, like out of left field. I guess I should say right field, when he's talking to her. We'll talk about that as well. Did you happen to see the death chants at Glastonbury? Glastonbury is the massive, big music festival in the UK. All kinds of controversy over that because one of the, I'll call them performers, and what was said. And I'm just telling you now, you're going to hate what I have to say about this at first. Hear me out. And then we'll wrap this up with, I think I'm talking about this story just because I love the alliteration. And yeah, it's a Florida-based story, so I'm interested in that too. Are you ready for Alligator Alcatraz? I just love, they're actually going to house people in the middle of the Everglades before they're actually deported. And DeSantis is all excited about this. And I think there's a reason why he wants this in his state. And he did a Fox News interview over the weekend to talk about it too. What, right in the middle of 110 square miles of creeping death, surrounded by alligators and pythons. And anyway, we'll get to that too. But thanks for being here. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream. Our part of Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. Thanks for you guys for hanging out with me on the weekend too. Start a little feature, little weekend mindset reset. And that was fun to do over the weekend. Something a little bit different, on your weekend time. Think about things. Let you know that they're not as bad as you may think, or at least what the media is telling you. And that's always available on all the platforms as well. And so is the audio podcast, wherever you like to get your audio podcast. So make sure you get on there and press download. And for this stuff, if you're watching on the replay or listening later, make sure you follow and share and all that good stuff. All right, let's get to it. Very sneakily, I think this is a big, big story because we always talk about the new media and who's influencing who these days and where kids, let's call them Gen Z. Okay, I got a couple of those. Where they get their information, and trust me, they do. And you know this too if you're a parent of the same age kids. TikTok is massively influential, incredibly influential. This is why when there was this big push and this big idea to ban TikTok, Trump set out, I think the first time he said this was during the campaign. He said, why would I want to get rid of TikTok? I'm doing great. The kids love me. I'm doing great. Did you see my TikTok channel? Fabulous. He doesn't want to get rid of it. He knows. He gets it. It's incredibly influential. So it comes down to who runs TikTok. Now, Congress voted to force a sale, blah, blah, blah. Well, out of nowhere, it seems, Trump drops this little hint in his conversation with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. Like I said, he loves her. I think that's his favorite media person. So he opens up a lot to her. If you ever want to find out what's going on in his mind, which is tough, listen to or watch her interviews with him. You get the really good nuggets. And he dropped this one over the weekend.
It's like TikTok. I'm extending that, but no big deal. We have a buyer for TikTok, by the way. I think I'll need probably China approval. I think President Xi will probably do it.
Who's buying?
I'll tell you in about 2 weeks.
A big technology company there.
Very, very wealthy people. It's a group of very wealthy people.
Yeah, here's what else. It's a group of very wealthy people that he's in favor of. You know how this is going to go, obviously. Who controls this new media that we all talk about? Because traditional mainstream media is just on the ropes and dead and dying. And they did this to themselves. Trust me. Don't feel bad for them. Who controls this new media and who controls the information source and the information flow to this whole new crop of young voters, these new kids, these new Americans? That's the power. That's why this is such a huge story. And of course, just think of it politically. Of course, he's going to make sure that it's somebody that he's in favor of, that is pro-Trump. Of course he is. Otherwise, he wouldn't. He's maybe not brokering the deal, but he's definitely influencing it. That's a massive, massive thing. And I will tell you, if carve out any time in your personal life to go on TikTok, who the hell could blame you, first of all, as an adult? But secondly, truly, you understand how this thing is built, you will understand how massively influential it is. I mean, it's the great Scott Adams, in his live stream Coffee with Scott Adams, he once called it the greatest mind control weapon ever created in the media. And it just is. It just by design. It's like, and if you watch a kid on TikTok and they'll scroll, they take the phone, they'll scroll video after video after video after video. You look up and all of a sudden you're looking on TikTok for 3-4 hours. What if you got like constant messaging, one way or the other? I don't care, from the left or from the right or whatever it is, negative or positive. If you see enough of that, of course it's going to influence you. Of course it is. So this is a big deal. That's very sneakily. That's a huge story. They announced a deal for TikTok. So good. Speaking of social media, well, did you happen to catch? First of all, do you know what Glastonbury is? It's a massive music festival. I think it's over 3 or 4 days, I think. I don't know, in the UK, but it's big. It's massive. Tens of thousands of people there. And this is key to the story, broadcast on the BBC. Well, you probably saw at least a clip of this. I don't really know who the guy is, but you know what he did because of the headlines. Bob, I think, Violin, I think his name. That's his stage name. Oh, he spells it like Dylan. Okay, so it's Bob Villain. Like villain. Okay, I get it now. I don't really care about him. Didn't really do a lot of research on the guy's background, but I do know this. This is the controversy that came out of Glastonbury. You know, after all of these performances, this is how it works. All these performances, all these great acts and shows and reunifications, and I guess of all people, 60, 70-something age Rod Stewart did a great reunion with Ronnie Wood. I guess that was great, but that didn't get the headlines. This guy does. Why? Because as you heard it by now, this is what he chanted on stage. Yeah, nice, huh?
Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one, though? Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
That's enough of that idiot. I can't even listen to that anymore. Okay, so it is what it is, right? And this is now in vogue now to chant this kind of stuff at a music festival. Broadcast live, important to the story. I'll talk about that in a second. In front of tens of thousands of people. It might have been 60, 70,000 people. I really don't know, but it's a massive music festival. And it made a lot of headlines, obviously. So it was, of course, you expect the Free Palestine thing. But then this guy kicked it up a little bit further as his marketing ploy. This is his gimmick. Death to the IDF. Now, I don't care who you're chanting death to. Whatever. You know, but apparently that's now totally acceptable at a music festival. Did it, obviously for attention. Obviously. This guy's I don't know, some kind of a rap or whatever it is, right? And the BBC is now saying, because it's broadcast, the entire festival is apparently broadcast live on the BBC. And then it gets all the social media clicks all over the place, right? The BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, came out with a statement this morning. They said they regret airing this element of the Glastonbury show. It's not what they stand for. It's what we should have reined that in a little bit better. Right. Sure, they should have. I'm sure that's why they kept up all their social. I got that from the social media channel from BBC. It's still up. They don't really regret it that much. It's gotten millions of hits. They don't really mind. But it's one of those, sorry, you're offended, but we're not sorry statements from a media company. It's the same old crap. They're even worse than our media companies. We're sorry that aired, and we should have reined that in. Right, I'm sure. That's why all their social media is still up from it. Right, I'm sure they really regret that. So when I saw this too, and I had to look at now on a lot of different media platforms, I had to look at the comment section on this, and don't delve too far into the comment section; it'll drive you crazy. But for this one, I wanted to, because I wanted to see UK audiences, but American audiences too. Especially, I was looking for like parents to see what they would say about this. I wanted to just get the general reaction. And it was amazing how many comments I saw like this, where people saying, I will make sure my kid never sees this. I'll never, I'm going to make sure that they don't see this. I'm going to grab their phones. I'm going to make sure they're not even aware of this. It's disgusting. No, I agree with you. It's disgusting. A death chant at a music festival. It's like, well, how did we get to that point? But let me tell you this. Despite all the stress and the consternation, which at first is understandable from fellow parents like me, and I totally understand that. Look at it this way, and you're going to hate this. You're going to hate this at first. Hear me out. Let them see this. Let them see that. I mean, even if they're going to, and this breaks out at one of the summer concert festivals they're going to, let them. Now, why do I say that? Because if you're a good parent that's taught your kids right from wrong and you tried to teach them common sense and to think for themselves, and I'm sure you did if you're listening to me. I talk about that stuff all the time. Let them see this. Show them the video. Show them what's actually happening out there. Because eventually, and I speak from experience, because I've got kids the same age, in their 20s, into all kinds of music. Let them see this, because eventually when they get into the real world and they have real bills to pay and they deal with all different kinds of people and they have bosses and responsibilities and mortgages and car payments, that reality and how life really is doesn't really jive with an idiot on stage saying death to anybody. So eventually, I've seen it, I've experienced it. Eventually, they look at this and they say, that's stupid. Eventually, if you've done your job. And I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have as a parent if you have kids. I'm sure you have. So let them get exposed to this. Understand what it is. Don't hide from it. Talk it out if you can, if you get a chance to do that. But it's not always possible. Kids in their 20s, teens, I get it. Let them see this kind of crap that happened on stage and let them choose for themselves. Because eventually, trust me, more likely than not, they're going to look back on this and go, boy, that was awful. That was like really stupid. And they reject it because it doesn't jive with how the real world works, how the universe works. So, I know you're going to hate that. But just hear me out. I've seen it with my kids. So I was like, okay, that's out there. What do you think about it? What do you think? Make up your own mind. And eventually, and this is how I always say, I've gotten them like 80.5% out of the woke mind virus. Look at this crap. Look at this. And this ties back to our TikTok story. Look at it. Look, this is what's out there. You think this is good? You think this is real? We're going to get like that's a winning mindset? No. They're going to look at it and say, well, that's pretty stupid. And then you won as a parent. So let him. By the way, this guy, Marco Rubio, jumped in on this. This is how big of a story it is now. So this idiot on stage chanting that, apparently he's got a U.S. tour planned. Of course. You got to jump on. You got to capitalize on the clicks you're getting, right? Yeah. Well, they may revoke his visa. So I don't know. We'll see if that happens. Who the heck knows? But if not, all right, fine. They'll die out. It's just a gimmick. This is a story I think I'm talking about just because I love the alliteration. And yeah, it is Florida-based, but I'm fascinated by it. But I think there's a reason behind it. If you don't understand why they do this, I'm with you. I had some questions too. But Alligator Alcatraz is something that is so 2025 these days. So this is the plan. I thought this was fake. I really did. I thought this was a fake news story. They're going to build. It's not a permanent center. It's a housing facility for ICE and Homeland Security in the state of Florida. It's kind of like a halfway stop before they deport people, but you guessed it. It's Alligator Alcatraz, surrounded by 110 square miles of creeping death in the middle of Florida. And DeSantis is all for it. Now you got to ask yourself, why? Well, he even did a little promotional news story with Fox News, of course, over the weekend. He talked to Steve Ducey about this. He toured the facility as they're building it now. It's really going to happen. DeSantis is all proud of it. Now, ask yourself when you're listening to this, why would he want this so bad?
Well, when you think of the imagery of Alcatraz, Alcatraz is surrounded by a bay. Here in the Everglades, you're actually surrounded by gators and pythons.
So this is as secure as it gets. I mean, if a criminal alien were to escape from here somehow, and I don't think they will, you've got nowhere to go. I mean, what are you going to do? Trudge through the swamp and dodge alligators on the way back to 50, 60 miles just to get to civilization? Not going to happen. So.
That's a relief for me. I had that question too. I'm a Florida resident. I will be completely honest with you. My first question about this, when it turned out to be a real story, was, what if they get out? Because anybody that makes it out of that place and survives the Everglades, first of all, is a badass, and secondly, is really pissed off. But no, I don't think anybody's gonna get out of that. But the second question is this. This is why you always got to wonder, like, why a politician, and DeSantis is a politician, you got to wonder why they're so excited about an idea like this. It's because, of course, he wants this in his state. Of course, it appeals to his base. Of course, he does. Just think, they're the ones that named it Alligator Alcatraz. And I'm sorry, whether or not you're for or against this, or you hate what ICE is doing, or you love what they're doing, you want to close it, that's a great name. So much of this is marketing. So the reason why Ron is, Heavy D is so in favor of this, because it makes him look great. Of course, that's why he wants this in his state. And then he, of course, said, well, I think all states should do this. But he'll turn I know him, so I know how he operates. So he'll turn this around when he's running for president the next time, and he'll say, I was the only governor who housed ICE detainees before they were sent back to their own country. We called it Alligator Alcatraz. It's all marketing. Once you start looking at politicians as marketers, it all starts to make a lot more sense. All right, let's talk about some good news. How about this? I was told, and maybe you were too, that by now, in fact, they put this as the marker. This was the drop-dead deadline date. July 4th of 2025, they all told me, everybody in the media, gas prices are going to be through the roof. Oh, my God, you're not going to be able to even drive down the street for a six-pack. Your gas prices are so high, let alone summer vacation. Well, now, and I'll get the headline right, just so you don't think I'm making this up. And it's from, of all places, the New York Times. Now, what have I said before? Whenever you have a positive administration story, but it comes from people that hate them, you know it's real. This is the New York Times, and I quote, "Summer gas prices have not been this low since 2021. Wait a minute. I was told they were going to be at an all-time high. Oh, what's going on here? That's good news. Outstanding. Let's take it for what it's worth. And it's interesting. Usually by now, on the week of July 4th, they have all the predictions out on how many people are going to be traveling. AAA comes out with that survey of how many miles, 50 miles or more, how many people are going to be on the road. I haven't seen that yet. But I think it's going to be high, and it's probably going to be just as busy as you could possibly imagine. So there's not going to be a lot of people in the office this week or next week, so just get prepared for that. But it's a good thing. Gas prices are lower. It means Americans are traveling and celebrating patriotism. I love it. By the way, that number is on average. You know, if you're in some area where it's like, they're not low, they're higher than they've ever been in my area, this is like the national average, so you got to take that into account too. All right. I got to get out of here. Speaking of traveling, I have to catch a flight, and I'm out of material, and you have to start your Monday, so maybe you're traveling too. So the big takeaway, this whole thing about death chants at concerts, you're a good parent if you got kids. Let them see that. Let them see it. Don't hide that crap that's out there from them. If you've got kids in their teens and 20s, they'll understand if you've done your job as a parent, and I know you have. That doesn't jive with how the real universe works. They'll look back on that and they'll say, well, that's stupid. Don't worry about it. That, and read up more on Alligator Alcatraz because it sounds awesome. We'll talk about that as well, I'm sure, through the week as progress on that happens. But tomorrow, all kinds of stuff to talk about as well. And don't forget about this. All media platforms, all the social media platforms here, just look for Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams, some little extras on the other ones too. But on the replay, right here on X, or if you're listening to the audio podcast later on, make sure you download, share, put your notifications on X for when we are live and things are coming up too. And we'll talk to you with all that stuff. I will have some travel stories, I am sure, as I jump on a plane here. Heading to the Granite State. Live free or die, New Hampshire. What better place to spend the week of 4th of July? Talk about that as well. Make it an awesome Monday, a wicked awesome Monday. We'll talk to you later.